We're recording. So I wanted to make a special video for Tulsi Gabbard. Um, those of you who've been watching me know that I'm an ardent supporter of Marianne Williamson, but I actually would not even have known about her if it were not for Tulsi Gabbard, whose campaign I followed a lot in the beginning of the primary, this kind of a Democratic primary run. And I support Tulsi Gabbard as much as Marianne Williamson, actually. I don't see any fault in her. And she has just been deployed to Indonesia for some reason in the middle of her campaign, which is kind of a little bizarre. I don't know if that was something that she volunteered to do, or if she's kind of been sent away in the middle of her campaign, which would be kind of a dirty trick. But I know that she is very much a service before self kind of person. She tends to, she's not like an ego maniac. Like a lot of the people who are running for president are more public eye kind of people, and I think that Tulsi Gabbard is very much an introverted, reflective kind of person. She does have the determination of an Aries, and it's not surprising that an Aries would enter service. So this is, I just saw a video by Tulsi Gabbard's sister requesting that people make support videos on why she is such a great candidate. And I thought that I would add my voice. I'm not a voter, I'm a Canadian, so this is really just in case you wanted some more detail about candidates. Tulsi Gabbard is a very strong advocate for peace. She has served in the military, in the medical unit, and also as a platoon leader, and she actually succeeded in bringing her whole platoon home alive, which is pretty impressive. And she was responsible in the medical unit for counting the casualties, which I think was very hard for her, and also gave her a very deep understanding of the cost of war, which she talks about a lot. And and she has been on the Foreign Affairs Committee advocating for peace. And actually, I find the narrative, I hate that word, but the kind of smear attempts that have been made against her as suggesting, inferring that she was somehow colluding with foreign powers by doing her job of advocating for peace, have in fact convinced me more that she's worthy of support than maybe if they had just said nothing. I mean, the attempt to suppress the message of peace I find quite offensive, and also more indicative of its validity than anything else. Also, I don't know how many people realize that Tulsi Gabbard is the only presidential candidate who stood at Standing Rock and tried to stop the pipeline and stood with the Native American people, which is pretty impressive. I actually thought that Marianne had also done that. I know that she was an advocate against the pipeline, but I don't think she had actually gone. I think that was only Tulsi. And I have been following her campaign on MCSC, Mikasa Sukasa, the independent news channel, which is a very good source. I love that he breaks everything down. So this is when I really got a picture of the way the campaigns are funded, because he would go, the funding is a matter of national public record, but I don't really have the brain to go through all that data, but Nico does, and he not only has the brain to go through it, but he has the brain to explain it to you. And now I'm trying to argue with people about funding, and I've only got half my brain remembering the data. I remember that when I heard it, I thought, okay, yeah, that sounds like he did his homework. But that doesn't mean that I've done mine. But based on his assessment of all the campaigns, I came to the conclusion that Tulsi Gabbard, Marianne Williamson, Bernie Sanders, and Mr. Andrew Yang had all, like their donations were strictly individual donations, and there was no kind of monkey business going on, because sometimes the donations look like individual donors, that it came from individual donors, but it's been kind of rolled. It's called PAC money, and it's kind of it's actually a corporation. I don't know how they do it, but it's this deceptive thing. I saw a video of, back to Tulsi, I saw a video of Tulsi Gabbard when she was at a town hall and a Muslim lady was in the audience, and she ran up to hug Tulsi because she was advocating for peace, and that was very moving. A very genuine moment. And I think it's important with candidates because they are so often being called upon to represent institutions and policies and very kind of robotic things, that they also show a human side, even though they're going to be mocked for it. Like, oh well, I don't need to go into, but you've seen the stuff. Now it's interesting because mockery, on the one hand, can, you know, if it's a candidate that you like, you feel bad that they get mocked, but it also makes for more media coverage. It tends to snowball then, so it's kind of a double-edged sword. So I wanted to say also about Tulsi Gabbard that if you look at Nico House's videos about her campaign, you will see that not only is she advocating for all these things, but she has signed legislation in favor of the things that she's advocating for. So it's not just words. She has signed a resolution for reparations, I believe, and never actually talked about that, interestingly enough. She doesn't tend to brag about what she's doing. She drafted a bill to secure the integrity of American elections, security of them, for having paper ballots, and also, or if not paper ballots, if you wanted to do digital, but then there would be a paper backup system so that they can't be hacked, basically. And that is so much better than this. They've got some new scheme to get Microsoft to use some software to try and block the hackers, but I mean, then you still don't know what's going on, because most of the country doesn't really understand hacking. And Microsoft is very much cozy with the Pentagon. So please think about it, and think about how simple and cost-effective Tulsi's method of securing the elections is. She has stood up for I don't remember the name of the place, but there is a sacred mountain in Hawaii, which was being, there was some project, industrial project, I can't remember if it was a pipeline or if they were drilling for something, but there was a huge protest, and to try and stop it, and Tulsi Gabbard put out a video to also try and stop that. She put out a video on her own channel and also on Fox News. I mean, do you think that a progressive Democratic candidate likes going on Fox News to have to put out their message? But she's willing to do that because she cares that much about peace. And she put out a message basically begging the president not to exacerbate the situation in Iran. And I kind of think that that worked. I kind of attribute the credit to Tulsi Gabbard for that, because we all know who likes to watch Fox News, and she was willing to go on there and put the message right in his line of sight. And she also has been, she supported the call in Puerto Rico to the call for the governor to resign. And I believe that Marianne Williamson also did. And she actually went to Puerto Rico to support the protesters. So I thought that was pretty cool also. So these are just some details that would give you an indication of the kind of integrity that she would bring to the presidency. And I'll just say it, I like that she's a woman. I like that she's a Hindu. And I like that she is a former veteran who advocates for peace. I just think that's cool. And as Nico House has pointed out, she is actually the only presidential candidate who can claim Native American status, if you count Hawaiians as Native American. Although she's also Samoan. Anyway, doesn't matter. That's just identity politics. But you know, that, like, I get that it's not good to judge candidates based on identity politics, like if someone is black or someone's a woman or someone's gay. Like, I'm not that impressed with Pete Buttigieg, and he's gay and I'm gay, but sometimes you can see like where the archetypal, stereotypical persona, actually the thread of that runs deeper into their personality. So you can kind of see where Tulsi Gabbard has imbibed a lot of her tradition and her, like, I don't know. I will say this, I find that if you want a woman for president, I think that Tulsi Gabbard is more of a woman in the iconic sense than Elizabeth Warren or Kamala Harris, who to me are basically men. They're men in suits. Like they're really not that different from Joe Biden ideologically, and I feel like they represent more the patriarchy. What else? I kind of, I don't know, I'm really admiring of the candidates like Tulsi Gabbard, who are kind of completely on their own in this race. I mean, nobody's giving them a leg up. And she's not part of a squad or anything. I mean, she, you know, the progressive movement has kind of sidelined her, and Democrats, half the time they don't mention her name, but she's not out there whining about it. She just keeps nailing every issue, and every time something comes up on the news, she's on it, and she releases a video stating her position on it and what's wrong with it, and what we need to do about it. And I think that is really amazing. And so I wanted to just give a great big aloha once again to Tulsi Gabbard and why you should vote for her. If you don't vote for Marianne Williamson. No, I'm sorry. This is really for Tulsi Gabbard, and I will be as happy. If she wins the presidency, I will be equally as happy as if it is Marianne Williamson. So that is my feeling on the matter, and I hope that you can hear me. I came into this room because I thought it would disperse the ghost a little bit, which it seems to have done. So, aloha to everyone. Tulsi Gabbard, Madam President. There we go.